Hi there, Aaron Walter here. If you're hearing this, you're not currently on our premium subscriber feed. Design Better premium subscribers enjoy weekly episodes, 4 episodes per month in total, rather than 2, all ad free, and invitations to our monthly AMAs with the smartest folks in design and tech. You'll hear a preview of this episode, but if you'd like to hear the full conversation, please consider becoming a premium subscriber at designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe. It's just $7 a month, and it supports not only your personal growth, it also makes our work at Design Better possible. The podcast is available to everyone through our scholarship program. If you can't afford a subscription, email us at subscriptions@thecuriositydepartment.com, and we'll help you out.
That's the first step, is just sitting together. And I'm always surprised, I guess at this point I shouldn't be, but I'm still always surprised when a designer and an engineer sit together for the first time and they look at each other's work and they go, that's how you do that? And I feel like that unlocks so much when you can sit down next to somebody and go, oh, I didn't know that you did that. Now that I know that you do that, it makes me think very differently about the way that we can work together.
There's a reason why we've been talking about design systems for a number of years now. It's the key to collaboration at scale. Few people get that more than Dan Mall, who has helped the world's most recognizable brands create design practices that are truly sustainable and successful.
We spoke to Dan about his new book, Design That Scales, which dives into how to create, manage, and sustain a successful design system. And he shares where the people involved in a design system fit and how they can best collaborate.
And in case you missed it, Dan also joined us for an AMA recently. He is a wealth of knowledge. Check the show notes for a link.
This is Design Better, where we explore creativity at the intersection of design and technology. I'm Eli Woolery.
And I'm Aaron Walter. You can get ad-free episodes, bonus content, discounted workshops, and access to our monthly AMAs with big names in design and tech by becoming a Design Better premium subscriber. It's also the best way to support the show. Visit designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe to learn more. We'll return to the conversation after this quick break.
Support for Design Better comes from our friends at CrashPlan. Visit crashplan.com/designbetter for 50% off your first year of CrashPlan. From my daughter's first birthday to my son's first soccer game, if you're like me, you have thousands of precious family photos that only exist in digital form. That's why I've been using CrashPlan for a decade and a half now to back up all my important files. CrashPlan works efficiently in the background while you work, encrypting and sending all your new or changed files up to their secure cloud server every 15 minutes. And they make it simple to restore some or all of your data. And with unlimited version retention, CrashPlan can also be your ultimate rewind button. Businesses of all sizes benefit from CrashPlan's multi-tenant capabilities. Buy as many user licenses as you need and easily manage them all under one account. Go to crashplan.com/designbetter for 50% off your first year of CrashPlan. That's crashplan.com/designbetter, all one word, for 50% off your first year. Back up better with CrashPlan.
I'm a big believer that travel is an essential part of living a creative life. It gets me out of my comfort zone, it connects me to new people, and it broadens my perspective on the world. Just in the past 6 months, I've been to Paris, Japan twice, and soon I'm heading to South Africa and Zimbabwe. To get the most out of my adventures, I do my best to pick up some of the local language before I go, and Babbel has become my go-to tool to learn languages quickly. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are created by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. It's conversational, practical, and it's reinforced as you progress, so what you learn, it actually sticks with you. You can learn Spanish, French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Swedish, Russian, Turkish, Dutch, Polish, Norwegian, Indonesian, or Danish. It's fun, and man, it's so rewarding. And here's a special limited time deal for our Design Better listeners. Right now you can get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription at babbel.com/designbetter. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/designbetter, and that's spelled BABBEL.com/designbetter. Rules and restrictions may apply. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. In the Walter household, we're big fans of Greenlight, and I'd like to introduce you to my son Bellamy, who's 10, to tell you just how amazing Greenlight is. Hey Bellamy, you made a big purchase recently. What did you buy?
An electric scooter.
Are you pretty excited about it?
Yeah.
How did you manage to pay for something so pricey?
Well, I've been saving up a lot, and I invest in a lot of companies.
And you did that with a special account that I was able to set up that gave us an opportunity to learn together about investing, right?
Yeah.
So I set up a custodial account, and what kind of companies did we invest in?
I invest in Minecraft, Roblox, and Tesla.
And how'd you learn about all that stuff? You seem pretty smart about how to manage your money.
Greenlight.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about it.
Yeah, it's a debit card for kids. And kids can use it to pay for like stuff that they really like or want, like a toy or a bike or something.
So probably tomorrow you should be getting your new scooter. Do you have any big plans?
I'm gonna ride around with my brother.
Bellamy has learned so much from using Greenlight, and I know that your kids will too. Sign up for Greenlight today and get your first month free when you go to greenlight.com/designbetter. That's greenlight.com/designbetter to try Greenlight for free. greenlight.com/designbetter.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Forget the frustration of picking commerce platforms when you switch your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling wherever you sell. With Shopify, you'll harness the same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/tech.
And now, back to the show.
Dan Mall, welcome back to the Design Better podcast.
Yes, thank you. It's always nice to hang out with you guys. I will always take you up on that.
We love having you, and you and I have been fortunate to have other conversations outside the podcast recently, and I just always learn so much. I also saw a talk that you gave at Config this past year. I'm like, man, and I know you get this a lot, and you maybe we'll talk about it later, but this guy is such a good teacher. And I know you intentionally call yourself a teacher right now, but maybe it just manifests, but I teach myself, and I see a lot of teachers, but I'm like, I think I can identify good ones, and you are a very good teacher.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's a lot of years of like growing up in church and just like being talked at every week, you know, and like seeing good preachers and bad preachers and, you know, and just picking up a lot of that stuff. So I credit that.
Well, you just recently came out with a book, and we'd love to talk about that. Maybe we can just start there. It's called Design That Scales. Why'd you write the book? Why was now a good time to do it?
Yes, thank you. I wrote it because I found a couple of things missing in the canon of design systems. There are a lot of good books about design systems, and I have no intention to replace any of those or think that any of those are bad books. A lot of those are books about like the nuts and bolts stuff, you know, like what is it? How do we distinguish? How do we work on it? Like things like that. What I found was a lack of stories about design systems out there. And that's the way that I learn, you know, and I know that's the way that a lot of people learn is through stories, not just through the theoretical stuff and the nuts and bolts stuff. And I think they all work together. So I wanted to mostly write a book of stories that says like, here's how I've seen it go over here, or here's how this other team kind of worked on this thing. And what are some different ways that people can work on design systems, because they're all very different and all the variables change it. And there's no such thing as like one right way to do a design system. So that's the book that I attempted to write, was a book that was like, let me shine a light on some different ways that you might think about doing design system work that maybe occurred to you, maybe didn't occur to you, but perhaps it can give you some ideas about how you can do yours differently.
Dan, design systems continue to be just like a really important topic in the software design space. And I feel like it's been that way for about a decade or so. And I'm curious, like, why does this topic have staying power? What brings people back to this topic?
I think part of it is the period of time that we're in, like in the internet and in digital and things like that. One of my favorite quotes in regards to design systems, but also just in regards to, I don't know, work, life, and things like that, I share it with a lot of teams that I work with, is from Andy Grove, who was the head of Intel at one point. And I think he said something to the effect of, let chaos reign, then reign in chaos. I think that works on both a macro and micro level, in that that's kind of how digital has been, you know, the advent of digital and how it kind of grew up is like, it was the Wild West for a long time. I know for the three of us, the way that we grew up in the web was like, you figured it out. You were the web designer. There was no such thing as full stack devs and full stack designers and UI designers and back end devs. And it was like you made the website. So you wrote the Perl scripts, you did the animation, you sliced it up, you put the tables together, all that stuff. And then we started to go like, there's probably some better ways to do this. And then we started to get more organized and more disciplined. And so I feel like the advent of the web kind of marries to that, where like chaos reigned for a while. And then we started to reign in chaos. We started to go, this thing called CSS is really helpful. This thing called mobile has a distinct pathway to it. And so I think design systems kind of fit in that narrative of like, now I think we're at the point where we're starting to reign in chaos, especially as digital and design and engineering really run global businesses at a massive scale now, which wasn't the case, 25 years ago, or at least not as much of the case now. So I think that design systems fit right in the zeitgeist of that, of it's a thing that helps us rein in the chaos after chaos has reigned for such a long time.
Can I share my theory about why it's
please, yes.
a persistent topic? I think it is something we come back to because the questions behind the design system questions, and everyone, like when they hear a talk or they read your book, they attend some event that you're at, lots of questions follow. How do I do it here? How do I do it under these circumstances? And behind those questions is, how do I work with other people? Design systems is really about people. It's like Soylent Green. It's people.
Yes. I love it. Yes, absolutely. Like I think we focus so much on the components of it, the React components and the Figma component, and all of those are important and the tooling is important. But I agree that if you don't get the people stuff right, then the tooling doesn't matter. I've seen so many organizations that have incredible tooling and they just don't know how to work together yet. So if you don't know how to work together yet, then the tooling doesn't matter. And then also vice versa is sometimes you figure out how to work together, but you don't have the tools to enable that and accelerate that too. And so I think design systems brings all of that stuff together. And all of those parts are needed for it, for sure. I like your theory, Aaron. I agree with it for sure.
Last time we spoke, Dan, we were talking about how one of the problems in this sort of cross-disciplinary work is that one side often doesn't know what the other side is actually doing, like what their day-to-day life is like, what it's like to working in the tools they're working in. And you had some very simple but what seemed like very effective tips for people to overcome that boundary of not understanding what this other role does. Talk about that a bit.
It's almost oversimplified to the point where it sounds like I'm joking or being sarcastic, but I'm really not. One of my favorite tips to tell teams is sit together. Like literally sit together. And I know that's not always possible because of geography and things like that, but you can simulate sitting together, maybe sit together in a Zoom call, if you can't sit together in an actual room. And it sounds so simple and it sounds so silly, but I can't tell you how many times I have worked with teams who have never sat together and actually worked simultaneously. They have some sort of handoff process of like, I go first and then you go next. And that's their version of collaboration. And it's like, I mean, if that's all you've got, then cool, but definitely leaving stuff on the table if you're not sitting together, working together in that way. And so, that's the first step, is just sitting together. And I'm always surprised, I guess at this point I shouldn't be, but I'm still always surprised when a designer and an engineer sit together for the first time and they look at each other's work and they go, that's how you do that? And it's like, how long have you been working together? 4 years. 4 years, and this is the first time you've realized how your colleague actually works on, like what they actually do in Figma, or the code that they actually write and what it means and how they think about that. And I feel like that unlocks so much when you can sit down next to somebody and go, oh, I didn't know that you did that. Now that I know that you do that, it makes me think very differently about the way that we can work together. Like bar none, every time, it makes people think differently once they understand more about what their colleagues do. And I think that we have, for lots of good reasons and bad reasons, we have erected all these barriers to doing that, because it's more efficient sometimes to really silo what you do and work only with people who already understand what you do. But I think it has more negative effect than it has positive effects. I think the efficiency that you gain from it, you lose a ton of other stuff. You lose touch, you lose collaboration, you lose innovation, you lose a lot of stuff when you don't actually sit with the person that you're supposed to be working with.
So Dan, there was another step that we talked about after the sort of show and tell element, which was a teaching element. So let's say you're a designer working in a cross-disciplinary fashion. After you show folks what is working, what does sitting down in a Figma file look like, you could teach your engineering counterpart. Talk about why that's valuable.
Lots of reasons. So One of the reasons that that's important is when I ran my agency, one of the things that I had in our performance evaluations, our quarterly or monthly or annual performance evaluations was...
If you'd like to continue listening to this conversation, you'll need to subscribe at designbetterpodcast.com/subscribe. Once you do, you'll get access to every full-length episode, all ad-free, monthly AMAs with inspiring people in design and tech, and recordings of all our past AMAs. The podcast is available to everyone through our scholarship program. If you can't afford a subscription, just email us at subscriptions@thecuriositydepartment.com and we'll help you out. Your support makes Design Better possible. Invest in yourself and the design community by subscribing at designbetterpodcast.com.